We are kicking off today with the shocking ending to Dynamite as Jack Perry and the Elite attacked Tony Khan in the first example of Khan getting physical as part of an AEW storyline. Well, it turns out that Khan is committing to this storyline, as Fightful Select is reporting that after the show, he was spotted in a neck brace during the filming of a future segment. This segment is a parking lot brawl between Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta that'll air on AEW Rampage, and despite it being a closed set only featuring AEW names, Khan still wore the brace. We should stress that this is all part of a storyline and Khan isn't actually injured, but is taking the route of not breaking kayfabe by wearing a neck brace. An off-air clip after Dynamite has been released by a fan which shows many wrestlers and officials come out to the ring to check on their boss. Khan was helped to the back by officials, and the camera panned to Orange Cassidy, who looked very tense and concerned for his boss. It wasn't just at the parking lot brawl filming, though, that Khan wore the neck brace, as this kayfabe injury has extended into the world of football. Khan wore the neck brace during the NFL draft the day after Dynamite, as he and his father Shad oversaw the picks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Attacking the boss is a new line crossed by the Elite, and there's sure to be repercussions, but for now, Khan is focused on healing up from the pile driver he took this week. Earlier this month, Cameron Grimes was released from WWE as part of the first wave of cuts in this new era, and this news came as something as a surprise to the affluent superstar. Sure, Grimes wasn't being used much on the main roster, but as he said on Busted Open Radio, a high-ranking WWE exec had made clear Grimes was safe shortly before he was axed. He said, "Literally, the last time I was at TV, I had a pretty high executive tell me, because, I was worried. Starting this stock market gimmick, it made me see businesses in a different light, you know what I mean? Following these companies and playing with stocks, I would see things in a different light. So I knew that I haven't worked in over a year, and I'm making a decent salary, so I knew that if someone was going to look at the books, I'm going to be the first person that's going to be cut. If you're looking at it strictly as money-wise, but if you're looking at it as like, okay, well, if this is a talent that can do something for us, you know what I mean? They're going to keep me. So I was told by a high executive last week on Friday that I would always have a job here. I would never have to worry about losing my job here after expressing my concerns like that to him. And then 5 days later, they called me and told me I do lose the job, so I don't know." Grimes often made light of his job insecurity, as he'd joke with the roster that he'd be next to be cut, and even said that the upcoming draft would see him transferred to Thursdays. WWE doesn't host an event on Thursday, but TNA Wrestling does, and Grimes' jovial attitude was clearly trying to mask some genuine fears he had about his spot in the promotion. Grimes had a successful run in NXT, but had little direction on the main roster, and mentioned that WWE officials often told him that they didn't have a clear idea of his role at the time. Now Cameron Grimes will have to wait until July before his non-compete clause expires, and hopefully he'll fare better elsewhere than he did on WWE's main roster. Unlike previous years, WWE didn't make some huge announcement sharing news of who'd been cut, and it was left to talent or news outlets to share the news publicly. Now it looks like another name has been cut in this subtle manner, as Guru Raj, a name from WWE NXT, has had his profile on WWE.com moved to the Alumni section. Raj's journey to WWE was part of an initiative to bring in Indian talent to appeal to the Indian fan base, but his time on TV was sporadic to say the least. Raj competed in just 20 matches in WWE, and his most recent match was on the November 22nd, 2022 NXT, where he had a 2-minute encounter with Scripts. The peak of Raj's career came in India, as he was part of the WWE Superstar Spectacle in 2021 and faced then NXT champion Finn Balor on the show. As of now, WWE has not confirmed Raj's exit, but it certainly appears like fans have seen the last of the Indian wrestler in a WWE ring. On tonight's SmackDown, WWE will kick off its annual draft that'll conclude on next week's Raw, and the company is bringing in some big names to make this extra special. PW Insider reports that JBL, Teddy Long, and Alundra Blaze will be at tonight's show in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they will likely have a role with the draft. Names eligible to be picked tonight include AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, and we'll have to see who goes where on SmackDown. More from AEW Dynamite, as this week's show was the first following Swerve Strickland's World Championship win at Dynasty, but AEW hardly rolled out the red carpet. Rather than some big celebration or even a promo, Strickland had a fun, if not standard match with Kyle Fletcher in a subdued affair fans have taken issue with. According to Fightful Select, the reason behind this unconventional start is part of a larger plan to provide Swerve Strickland with a significant platform for his first promo as champion. The timing aligns with an anticipated lead-in from the NBA for AEW Collision, with the Celtics vs. Heat matchup in the NBA playoffs leading directly into Saturday's show. AEW hopes that this lead-in will give Swerve a significant boost by drawing in a larger audience, capitalizing on one of the best potential viewership opportunities of the 2024 year. Strickland's segment has already been announced, and it's expected that a strong rating for his role on Collision will help set the tone for his championship reign. We'll have to wait and see how AEW will continue to book Swerve Strickland in the coming months, as fans are already happy to see him becoming the AEW World Champion. Are you surprised by AEW's decision not to have Swerve Strickland get a celebration on Dynamite this week? Let us know in the comments section below. For years, fans in the UK have been clamoring for a WrestleMania, and at Money in the Bank 2023, John Cena said it was his mission to bring the show to London. During a recent live event in London, Cody Rhodes agreed that the UK deserves a WrestleMania, and now the idea has received some serious backing from the UK capital city. London Mayor Sadiq Khan, no relation to either Nick or Tony, recently pledged to establish a task force to bring North American sports events to the city, including WrestleMania. He said, "London is a world leader in major sports events and has been at the heart of some of the most memorable sporting moments of the last few decades. From the Olympics to the Lionesses winning the Euros at Wembley to the Ashes at Lord's and the Oval, London is where it's at. If I'm re-elected on May 2nd, I'm determined to go even further and fully cement London's reputation as the undisputed sports capital of the world. I believe that London has the potential to host the first international WrestleMania. In the meantime, my message to anyone traveling to the Paris Olympics this summer is to include a visit to London in your itinerary to enjoy all that our city has to offer." Khan's comments didn't go unnoticed by those in WWE, as Triple H had just 2 words for the mayor of London: "Let's talk." While there's quite the buzz around the idea, Nick Khan recently said that WWE's Big 4 events will stay in the US and Canada for now, but of course, that could change. A WrestleMania outside North America is unprecedented, but WWE is at least open to discussing the idea, and we'll have to see if a WrestleMania in London ever happens. More from AEW Dynamite, as the Elite and Jack Perry left Tony Khan a broken mess in the ring, but he wasn't the only thing broken during this shocking encounter. Nicholas Jackson connected a 450 splash into a pile driver on Khan in the middle of the ring, but as photos have revealed on social media, Jackson suffered a wardrobe malfunction. The attack on Khan led to the back of Jackson's pants splitting in a rather embarrassing spot, and while the Elite and Perry are tight, the same can't be said for the material on these pants. When Seth Rollins got involved in the WrestleMania 40 Sunday main event, it was preceded by the Shield's theme song, with many believing he wouldn't be showing up alone. As he used the Shield theme rather than his standard theme, fans believed in the moment that Jon Moxley would be joining him as Dean Ambrose, but that obviously didn't happen. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, Moxley revealed that he wasn't even in the country at the time when fans expected he was stepping through the forbidden door. He explained, "I was asleep in Japan when that was going on. When I woke up, I had these messages saying, 'I thought you were coming out,' and I was like, 'Coming out where?'" When the Shield's theme hit, Moxley was set to appear for a company other than AEW, but it was a New Japan tag match, pitting himself and Shota Umino against Jack Perry and Ren Narita. Moxley added that he appreciated the excitement and was flattered that fans thought he might make a surprise appearance, but reiterated that he was literally asleep at the time. Tony Khan has also confirmed that WWE didn't reach out to discuss Moxley possibly appearing, and while it would have been an epic moment, it wasn't meant to be in Philadelphia. During this week's Raw, Becky Lynch won the vacant Women's World Championship, but unlike previous years, there's been a significant backlash to the man's latest title win. The general gist of the complaints is that Lynch lost just weeks ago when trying to win the title, and that somebody other than Becky could have benefited more from this victory. On the latest episode of his Hall of Fame podcast, though, Booker T disagreed with the idea that Lynch was the wrong choice to be champion, as he explained, "Being champion is a full-time responsibility. It's like having a stethoscope on you. You gotta be ready to go, on call 24/7. And they, WWE, know they can trust Becky Lynch, and she's proven as far as championship quality goes. You're not gonna find a better general in WWE or any other company, male or female, than Becky Lynch. And that's just the truth. I didn't realize that either. I didn't realize how good Becky was also until I saw her up close and personal in NXT, and I go, good God, this girl is a general, man. You talking about somebody who doesn't have any flaws? That's Becky. You talking about someone who works so much bigger than she actually really is? That's Becky. Man, Roxanne Perez can sit under that learning tree all day long as far as I'm concerned, and all she's gonna do is learn. So for me, I think they made the right choice. This win makes Lynch a 9-time title holder, as she's a 4-time SmackDown Women's Champion, 2-time Raw Champion, and has had a reign as NXT and Women's Tag Team Champion. Throw in a Royal Rumble win and 3 year-end awards, and Lynch has done plenty in WWE, but does that make you think someone else should have won on Raw? Let us know down below. It's been just over 3 months since Vince McMahon's second resignation from WWE, and since then, a lot of unfavorable things have been said about the ex-chairman. Now McMahon is ready to work on his public image, as Post-Wrestling reports that the embattled 78-year-old has secured the services of the Sitrick & Company PR firm. The firm is used to dealing with high-profile clients, as they've previously represented Kobe Bryant, Pepsi, Roy Disney, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and now has McMahon on board. That isn't all McMahon has done, however, as he recently filed a motion to compel arbitration in Janel Grant's case against him, and made several claims against Grant. Now, Grant's attorney Ann Callis has filed a motion to strike those comments by McMahon, and claims the ex-WWE head misused his motion to compel arbitration. According to Callis's filing, instead of focusing on whether the matter should be arbitrated, McMahon used his preliminary statement section to launch personal attacks on Grant and undermine her character. Jessica Rosenberg, McMahon's attorney, issued a statement in response, claiming that Grant was trying to have things both ways by accusing McMahon in a public court but wanting his comments struck from the record. This matter remains a highly serious situation, and there will likely be much more to emerge in the coming weeks and months, and we'll continue to follow this case for further updates. In January, TNA Wrestling embarked on its relaunch with the highly successful Hard to Kill event, but lost a lot of favor with fans after Anthem fired Scott D'Amore as TNA president. D'Amore may be gone, but one name fans will continue to see is Steve Maclin, as the former world champion recently told Fightful that he has re-signed with the company. Maclin said that he has unfinished business in TNA, and he enjoys a level of creative freedom. And what do you make to him re-signing? Let us know down in the comments. At WrestleMania 40 Saturday, The Rock competed in his first match in years, and the final boss had help training for the bout with some superstars from NXT. On Twitter, Joe Coffey of Gallus revealed that the stable was brought in to ensure that The Rock was ready for the tag team match with Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Gallus's training camp clearly worked, as The Rock showed little, if any, ring rust in the match, and if he wrestles again, the final boss knows who to call. More from Cameron Grimes, as his call-up to the main roster came in 2023 during what was a unique time for the promotion following the return of Vince McMahon. On Busted Open Radio, Grimes explained how Triple H and his father-in-law were part of a power struggle, with those backstage being seen as either a Hunter guy or a Vince guy. Given his success in NXT under the Game, Grimes was always seen as more of a Hunter guy, which didn't help his chances for as long as Vince McMahon had the final say on things. By the time McMahon resigned, the damage had been done to Grimes' character, as the company simply didn't have a spot for him on TV, despite being a Hunter guy. Grimes is very talented, but he simply fell through the cracks of this internal power struggle in WWE. And what do you make of this? Let us know down in the comments. Both during and after her WWE tenure, Ronda Rousey has had plenty to say about professional wrestling and has been highly critical of the industry from time to time. Rousey has said that pro wrestling is an intense performance, but shouldn't be seen as a sport, and this is a stance that EC3 is in agreement with. On a recent edition of the Wrestling Outlaws, the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion explained why he feels Rousey is right with her comments. He said, "Of course she's right. It's not a sport. A sport dictates it's a competition where you're legitimately competing against each other. I don't want to get into the rumors and innuendo that UFC has pulled some strings and manufactured results for better business, but she's 100% right in that sense. It's the most intense performance one can do. The physicality is real, we are athletes, it is athletic, and the risks are super high, and more so than the majority of sports. I don't know how many people were going around the WWE locker room saying to Ronda Rousey, who is a UFC champion, that this is a real sport, and maybe she's embellishing one person's opinion, but she's correct. It's a very intense performance." The competition, though, lies not within what you do in the ring and the wins and losses, but competing with your peers for spots and opportunities. The really toughest part of it is the competition you have with yourself and the mental wear and tear. While wrestling isn't on the level like conventional sports, it still takes a lot of athletic skill to succeed, and there is the unscripted competition of trying to get the best spots on the card. Rousey has said a WWE return is unlikely unless serious changes are made to the culture in the company. And what do you make of what she said and EC3's response? Let us know below. Now, since WrestleMania 40 was in Philadelphia, it was fitting that the show had an ECW tribute, which came when Bully Ray officiated the Philadelphia Street Fight. That match saw Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits defeat the Final Testament, and on Wise Choices, Bully revealed how his involvement was a relatively late decision. It basically was as last minute as just about The Undertaker was. It wasn't like the last minute day of the show, it was just a couple of days beforehand where I got a call and they said, "Hey, we have an idea, what do you think?" I mean, special guest referee, a surprise at WrestleMania 40? Bully added that the match was the most fun he's had at WrestleMania, as the stress of competing in TLC and other intense matches wasn't there when he officiated earlier this month. Bully Ray was a dominant force in ECW for years as part of the Dudleys, and it was fitting that his most fun time at WrestleMania happened in the birthplace of Extreme. When not competing in WWE, Logan Paul can be found overseeing the business of Prime Energy, which recently faced some serious accusations regarding its bottles. In 2023, Prime was sued and accused of having perfluorooctane sulfonate in its grape drink, a forever chemical which is harmful to children. On social media, Paul addressed the accusation and made clear that the claim isn't against the beverage itself, but rather the bottles the grape drink is stored in. Paul added that all Prime bottles are compliant with the US FDA regulations, and we'll have to see where this lawsuit goes for the reigning United States champion. Over the years, Jesse Ventura has had a strained relationship with WWE, but recently, things seem to be going well between the promotion and the former Minnesota governor. Ventura has revealed that with wrestling's new direction, he and WWE have been talking again, so perhaps we'll see more from the body in the near future. And we're ending today with Chris Jericho, who has made a name for himself in wrestling, music, and has several acting credits to his name, and now the AEW star is set to star in an upcoming horror film. Variety were the first to report that Jericho will be in an upcoming action horror movie named Dark Match, which is set in the world of 1980s pro wrestling. The film follows a small promotion that hosts an event in a small town, only to learn that the town is enthralled in a cult, leaving the wrestlers to fight for their survival. Jericho isn't the only name attached, as Stephen Ogg, who's been in The Walking Dead, Better Call Saul, and was one of the leading names in Grand Theft Auto V, is also attached to the project. Chris Jericho recently won the FTW title and teased a partnership with Big Bill on this week's Dynamite, and he'll have his chance to shine on the big screen later this year with Dark Match.